Okay, welcome back. So now we're going to do the next part of the 1999 farm accounts question, and it's still part B, and in B we've already done the enterprise analysis account for cattle and milk, and now we're going to do the enterprise analysis account for sheep for the year ended 31st of the 12th, 1998. So first things first, I've already done out the heading, enterprise analysis account sheep, and the subheading here, income. And I'll go a little bit more quickly through this because this is very similar to the last account we did, the enterprise analysis account for cattle and milk. So we're mostly concentrating again on, when we're doing the income, on this left-hand side, the lodgement side of the receipts and payments account, and when we'll be doing the expenditure, we'll be looking at this side. So the first thing to notice about this is skip the bank balance, milk, that's nothing to do with sheep. Here we have sale of sheep, 21,000. So sale of sheep. And again, two columns. If you like, we'll put these here just to denote the columns. 21,000 in there. Next thing as we go down along, cattle, no. Lambs, that has to do with sheep, so it's 12,400. So again, sale of lambs, 12,400. Next, as we keep looking down along, cattle, lambs, calves, the ewe or yo premium is 3,800. That has to go in, because that's a female sheep, isn't it? Yeah. Premium and 3,800. Okay, next thing as we look down through, we had lambs, calves, wool, that's definitely related to sheep farming, 1,400. What do we say, sale of wool? Oh, terrible. Sale of wool, 1,400. And then we're on to beef premium, no. Forestry premium, no. Investments, no. So after we've done those few things, the next thing we usually look at is the increase or decrease in stock. So if there's an increase in the value of sheep, it will go in as income here. If there's a decrease, it'll go in as expenditure, and we'll skip it for now. So looking at the value of sheep at the start of the year, it was 17,000. Looking at the value of sheep at the end of the year, it was 19,000. So the value of the sheep has gone up by 2,000 from the start to the end of the year. So we will put that in as an increase in sheep, or increase in stock, or really it's increase in the value of sheep. Sheep, and that was 2,000. The other item then we look at is, just like in the cattle and milk, we had drawings, so produce used by the family and taken by the family from the farm. It was milk for cattle and milk, and it's lamb when it comes to the sheep account. So we're going to have drawings of lamb, I say. Drawings. Lamb. And that's 250. Okay, so again, we just tot all of those up. I'm going to pause for a second while I add them up. Okay, so that total came to 40,850, and I also wrote in the next heading or subheading here, which is expenditure. So most of the expenditure again is going to come from this side of the receipts and payments account. The first thing there we have is fertilizer. In fact, I might just write out the words first before we work on the figures. Fertilizer. Now we know fertilizer is going in from the first, when we did the cattle and milk account, because we read this last time. It said general farm expenses, fertilizer and veterinary fees are to be apportioned 60% to cattle and milk and 40% to sheep. So there is going to be a fertilizer expense for sheep. Okay, next thing here is sheep. So it's purchase of sheep, 18,000. Dairy wages, no. Cattle, no. General farm expenses, yes. I think we certainly saw that is going to be 40% apportioned to sheep. General expenses. Light heat and fuel, no, they didn't mention that. Drawings, no. Repairs, no. Vets fees and medicines, certainly. I'll just put that in as vets fees. And that's it for that. So let's look at the figures. Fertilizer, first of all, 2,900. So there's going to be some work that needs to be done to this. We'll start with the original figure of 2,900. Okay, and if we remember from doing the cattle and milk account we had at the end of the year, the writing isn't great here, the page is marked, but it says creditors for fertilizers amounted to £300 here. So it means at the end of the year, the farm owed £300 to some creditors, people they owe money to, for the purchase of fertilizers. So it means they paid out 2,900 during the year, but they also owed a further 300, which means they actually purchased 2,900 plus £300 worth of fertilizer. It's just that they paid cash for this amount, or at least they paid for it at some stage during the year, and they still haven't paid for this, but in total their purchases were 3,200. So that's your correct figure for purchase of fertilizer during the year, and then we get 40% of that, and that'll give us our figure for the amount that we should apportion to sheep. So I'm going to pause that and work it out. Okay, so that came to 1,280. Next was the purchase of sheep. Now that was straightforward, 18,000. Then there was general expenses, and general expenses started as 14,800, but again, it was one of those things that needed to be adjusted because it was 60% for cattle and milk, 40% for sheep. So we'll just get 40% of that. And again, I'll pause for a second. And that came to 5,920. And lastly, vets fees. So same calculation as we did in the previous one for a start. Anyway, it starts out being 1,650. But like we read previously, the vet's fees in medicine includes a check to VHI for 600. So that's for the farmer's personal health insurance. So that's not to do with the health of the cows. So that's drawings, as it were, and it shouldn't be included as a farm expense. So we're going to subtract that 600 from what we already have up here, minus 600. And again, then we're going to get 40% of that. And again, I'll pause while I calculate that figure. And that came to 420. Now again, I'm just going to pause while I tot up the total expenditure and while I subtract it from the total income. Okay, so the total figure for expenditure came to 25,620, and I put brackets around it because I'm subtracting it from the total figure for income, and then I get my profit figure of 15,230. That's my gross profit on sheep.